much easier on the back than how I moved it the first time. Alright, hopefully this is going to be the final video with the 06 Arctic Cat 400 here. If you remember the last video with this guy, I thought I had a good and running. We went up the hill, she died, and I lost all spark. I did some tracing, the coil tested fine, PCM tested fine, however I wasn't getting power to any of it, which that led me to believe it was the stator that was going bad. So as you guys can see, I tore the side of the engine apart again, and lo and behold, this is what I found. Our stator is all chewed up. So how did that happen, you may ask? Well, let me have a seat here, I'll explain things to you. You see, in case you guys don't know, working on stuff like this, I only pretty much do in my spare time, when I have spare time. So although you guys have only seen 2 videos of this guy, I have been working on it probably over the past 3 months, here and there as time allows. And as can be the case with that, when you're working on stuff a little bit at a time, over long periods of time, you tend to forget where you're at and what you've done. Well, that's kind of what happened to me. When I was putting this guy all back together, I forgot to do one simple little thing which has led to this problem. And that was these little Allen head bolts in here that connect your flywheel to your starter gear. I kind of forgot to tighten those. When I had this pulled out and was cleaning everything up, I had put them back in hand tight, but I had never took a wrench to it and never tightened them. So as I was running this and as I was driving and stuff, every single one of these bolts backed out, and that is what ground down my stator. So of course, with this guy all ground down and chewed up, wasn't sending signal or current to anything else in the four-wheeler, so I had no power to the coil, thus I had no power to the spark plug, thus I had no boom boom in the engine to cause it to go. So that's what happened. We got a new stator in here ready to go in. We're going to throw that in here into the side of our case real quick, get our starter gears back in. I already kind of cleaned up the metal debris from this guy that we had in there. So fingers crossed, we'll be good to go and get this back to Alan in time for plowing the treacherous white stuff that tends to fall this time of year. Alright, so I got my new stator here. You see it comes complete with the wiring harness and everything. It also comes handy with this other side of the plug. If, for say, this wasn't made for an Arctic Cat or you didn't have this plug, it comes with actually the female end as well as the prongs. So you can pretty much make the stator work with any make and model. However, this was ordered for the Arctic Cat. It's got the correct plugs for our buggy. So pretty much all we have to do is make sure we have this turned the right way. Line up our wiring harness. It'll line up where our bolts go, and we will be ready to rock and roll. Line up our holes there. This wire will get tucked down into the little nodule there, and then this clip will go down on to hold it. And which bolts was it? These 2 little guys. And we got another little wire retainer clip right here. And now we'll go ahead and throw our 3 bolts that hold our stator in place. We're going to use a little Loctite on them, so we don't risk tearing into this guy for a 3rd time. And we'll just throw these all in. And now this guy is ready, almost ready to go back in. Let's see here. Can I remember how these guys go? This guy goes here. This guy goes there. Alright. Now we're ready to go back together. Alright, now we're ready to throw this guy on here. And one of the trickiest parts doing all this stuff is trying to get everything to line up. Shifter knob, this white little mark right here lines up with a little pressed circle right there, a little divot, so that way you're where you should be. That's gonna go in there. goes there. And the magnet kind of grabs it. Now I want to make sure to get that gasket up above there. So take a couple of these top bolts and start her through so we can grab the gasket. The tricky part is getting, there we go, that started. So before I push this in the whole way, I'm going to go ahead and start these bolts. Make sure we've got our gasket where we need it to be. This one I marked with an L is a longer bolt. It goes in where the alignment pin is. And we'll just take our time and go around, make sure our gasket's lined up before we tighten all these. We'll push her in and then tighten her all up. Make sure I got the starter gear lined up. That's good. Alright. Alright, so you threw some fresh oil in there. I'm going to go ahead and before I put this back together, we're going to throw our spark plug in here. Check. Make sure we are getting spark again. I doubt you guys will be able to see this, so we'll ground her out here and see if we don't have spark again. Before we throw everything back together, we're in neutral. Let me hit the old ignition. Oh, we got beautiful spark in there. Alright. So we're going to be good. So the spark plug in here for real. And we'll fire up. Alright. We got oil back in. Spark plug's back in. I did hook the gear shifter up here. I want to make sure we're all lined up in neutral, low, high, reverse, reverse, neutral. Okay, so we're good there. Alright, so we're in neutral. We should theoretically be able just to hit this button now and have her start back up. I think I have no leftover parts on the bench. So let's see what happens. Let me hit the primer here real quick. Got everything hooked up, I think. 3. Alright, here we go. Alright, before I fix key myself here on film, just go ahead and throw the plastics back on this guy. And take her for a spin for round 2. Alright guys, she's all back together. We got her warming up here. I want to make sure she's good and warm before we attempt to go out. And I pushed it out, so I have yet to see. I think we haven't messed in the CVT, so it should be freed up. But I thought just in case it was something other than the one-way bearing being in there backwards, if she catches and goes, we'll get her on film this time. So we're letting her warm up here. It sounds like she's idling good. happens. She's already doing better, because last time at this point she had already died on me. She's still feeling a little cold-blooded. Again, new piston, new rings. We want to break her in kind of slow here. We'll just putt around the hill. Alan, sorry, it's a little muddy out here. I'm going to try to go slow. I tell you what, let's put her in low so we can just kind of putt up the hill until she gets warmed up, broken in a little bit. I can tell she's getting warmed up now. It's a much nicer day too than the last time we tried this. And we've already made it farther than we did before. We may have to adjust our idle up a little bit. Let's put her in neutral. Yeah, it sounds like we need to adjust our idle up a little bit here. There is it, if I can get at it here. Let's turn this up a little bit. Which way do I need to go? Wrong way. There, that sounds better. There we go. That sounds better. Let's go high gear, here we go. Feels a little cold-blooded. Yeah, new piston. We don't want to go over half throttle. With the new piston, new rings, we got to kind of break those in a little bit. And there's a lot of procedures that they say to follow. You know, run a couple miles, stop, let her set for 20 minutes or so. I get maybe it's like 10 minutes, let her set for 20 to cool off. There's probably other people that'll tell you they just replace it and then they just get in there and ride her as normal. And hopefully we won't have to walk back. Whoa, and get Mighty Mouse or something to tow us back. She seems to be running good right now. Some miles here, we'll have to go back and check the oil. Tell you what, this is my first time actually on an Arctic four-wheeler, and I will say it's quite a comfortable machine. To really honk on it for you guys, but we do need to properly break it in somewhat, so we'll just put around here easy. We've had several downpours of rain the past couple of days. Tell you what, a lot better than that white stuff that could be falling right now. nice 400. There is no power steering, but steering is nice and super light. Even when I'm stopped here, it's not too awful bad to turn. And I'll tell you one thing I do like is it has one brake for all 4 brakes. You don't have to worry about mashing 2 at the same time. And of course it does still have the foot brake here. 4-wheel drive has a front diff lock. We should try it out. So we got the button here for 4-wheel drive. We're in 4-wheel drive. There, you can feel it in the steering a little bit. That's okay. We haven't messed with that, so it should be okay. Put the diff lock in. Oh yeah, there you can feel the no power steering. But she's running good. Just a little 400, so it doesn't really have, feels like it has a whole lot to get up and go, but for a little trail machine it probably has plenty. Alright, give you guys a nice little view I have here at the top of my property. You probably can't see it in the camera, there's a big old hawk going out there. Look at this nice view I get. I am certainly blessed to live where I do, to be able to ride where I can ride by just going out the door for free, not to pay money to go to a park, and I get views like this. I love living in the Appalachian Mountains. Well, let's go back, we'll check our oil, see if we got to top her off, and we'll be ready to give this guy back to Alan. So there she is, guys, all finished up, ready to go back to Alan, so he'll have this bad boy all ready to plow during the winter. Alright, so overall it was a pretty involved process of getting the old AutoCat fixed up and running again. We pretty much did a complete tear down of the motor, cleaned her up, new piston, new rings, pretty much a whole new top end rebuild on this guy. But now she's purring, she's running like a cat again, and instead of running like a little tiny kitten that's on its deathbed, she's running like a big old panther or something like that. Well, it is only a 400, so it's not the quickest, not the most powerful AutoCat out there, but she runs good. And we got her all fixed up for Alan. Have to drop this guy off and send her on her way. And what that means now is that the Hillbilly Garage is now opened up. We can finally get the X4 in there and throw in one of our performance sheaves. And who knows what lies ahead for the next year. So again, thank you for your support, thank you for watching, and as always, have fun, be safe, and keep on riding.